Hi, my name is Stephanie Hertz, Marketing Director here at Warwick Forest. Warwick Forest is proud to be the premier sponsor for CNU's Lifelong Learning Society, and we welcome you to the Riverside Lecture Series. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Hannah Hill. Hannah is the Senior Exercise Specialist at the Riverside Wellness and Fitness Center and has been with Riverside for 3 years. She completed her education at the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. Hannah and her husband Austin have a dog named Harley. In her free time, you can find her doing anything outside, exercising, or eating sushi. Please welcome Hannah Hill as she talks about tips for staying fit.
Okay, so I want to start off with a joke. All right. How much does a chimney cost? How much does a chimney cost? Nothing. It's on the house. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's my favorite. That's the only one I can really remember. All the other ones are just too bad. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. I'm so glad you're either tuning in online or in person. Like the video said, my name is Hannah. I'm a senior exercise specialist at the Riverside Wellness and Fitness Center right down Jefferson over there. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about tips to staying fit. We're going to kind of go through the whole spectrum, right, as to kind of motivations, stuff that stops us from hitting those goals that we may or may not have, and then how to kind of crush those barriers that we have in order to stay as active as possible for as long as we can. All right, started. Okay, so first I want to go over some benefits of exercise. There are some long-term and short-term benefits. And I actually have a fun little handout of this on the table outside for you. If you picked it up on your way in, if not, you can grab it on the way out. But there are a few things here, right? So sometimes we don't sleep the best. So you can read the slides. I'm not going to go over every bullet point, but it helps improve our sleep quality, right? The more we move our body, the more fatigued we will get during, but after it releases endorphins. And it's almost your body's natural euphoric state, and you just feel better after you're done. It's just getting there that's the tough part, right? It also helps reduce your blood pressure. I don't know how many people are on blood pressure medications or they've been told by their providers that they need to watch out. But even though during exercise your blood pressure does increase, it actually goes back down, and over time it helps decrease that blood pressure just overall for an extended period of time. But long term, right, it lowers your risk of heart disease. We have a great cardiac rehab program over at the hospital and then over at the Wellness and Fitness Center as well. It also improves your bone health. A lot of people, especially as we age, we get lower bone density, right? And we run into osteoporosis. Strength training in particular is fantastic to help keep our bone density strong, right? So then we don't have to necessarily worry about that if we're kind of in the pre-osteoporosis area. It also helps reduce risks of falls. Now, I don't usually like to use that word in my programs, but helping strengthening the muscles within the legs, especially, and the core is going to help, right? Everything you do, right? So when we're thinking about if we're walking or even if we're standing, it starts at the feet, right? So ankle stability is huge, as well as being able to kind of catch yourself off balance a little bit if we're stepping up on a curb, for example. So making sure we are strengthening the muscles in the leg and the core, everything. Potential challenges. So there's a lot of different aspects that we can go into here. There are majority of them listed on the screen, right? So sometimes it's a financial challenge that we may or may not be able to overcome. But there are plenty of options that you can do if you're not able to spend any additional money on, let's say, a gym membership, for example. You can do a lot of things at home. And actually, at the end of this, I have some sample workouts and I kind of split it up, and a lot of it can be done at home. Fantastic. Okay. Social, right? Sometimes, you kind of get in a funk, especially since we're getting out of, well, kind of out of the area of COVID and the shutdown and, having to stay away from people. It can get very isolating, and that can be really difficult to kind of get out of that funk. So after this, we'll go over some of the ways to get over all of these. Next one's time. Maybe you just don't have enough time. Maybe you're traveling, right? You're traveling to see family, friends, or just on a vacation by yourself. Maybe you just don't feel like you have enough time, but maybe going on if you're going to go to the beach, for an example, and you're able to walk on the sand, right? That is really going to help with ankle mobility, as well as strengthening the calves, right? Because it's always harder to walk on sand, than it is to kind of walk on a flat surface. Past experience with exercise. So maybe, you've had a New Year's resolution in the past, for example, and, you hit January and you're hitting your goals, but then, something happens, or, you have a little bit of a setback, whether that is, in your personal experience or someone in your family, right? And you have to go take care of them, whatever it may be. I don't want that to necessarily be very defeating, right? We can always start somewhere, making those little changes every day, being like, okay, maybe I'm not comfortable going out, and maybe I'm not comfortable going to a gym, but maybe I can, if able, maybe I can walk around my townhome complex, or I can walk around my house, for example, if we're not comfortable walking around outside, right? So every time you go to the kitchen, right, to maybe get either a drink of water or a snack or anything like that, maybe do, 10 sit to stands before you actually make it to the kitchen. Or maybe if it's a farther length away, maybe you walk around the floor of your house until you finally reach the kitchen. So making those little steps or little steps every day to make sure that you're getting that activity in. And fatigue level. Sometimes you just feel like you're too tired to go, but getting there is the hardest part. And remember, releases those endorphins. Your body's natural way of showing endorphins. So you're going to feel so much better when you're done. Right, how to eliminate them? Okay, couple things here. Like I mentioned at home about the financial portion of it, you can do it at home. Easy peasy, right? And again, I am going to give you some sample workouts that you can absolutely do at home. And any modifications. If you have any questions about exercise, I can give you a modification for it, right? To either make it easier or harder or challenging. Now, okay. Also, you can even park further away if walking is not something that is rather difficult for you. Okay, try parking further away in the parking lot. So when you go to the store, right, you have to walk a little bit farther to and from. Okay. Social. Find an accountability buddy. I think this lifelong learning, I think is perfect for that. Have so many different aspects within the program, within the community, that you can find people that will be able to motivate you, maybe even just a little bit, to get you there. Maybe you can go walking together, or maybe you can go to the gym together, or whatever it may be. That way, say, it's really not feeling it today. Well, maybe you tell your accountability buddy that you're supposed to meet them at, 5 o'clock, right? To go on an afternoon walk. They're like, you know what? No, we're going to go, and maybe we'll grab dinner after. Get your family involved if you live with your family, spouses, children, grandchildren, whatever it may be. Now, here's the fun part. Busy schedule, right? No time for this. Well, people are not going to like my first one on there, right? Wake up a little earlier. No, that's a doozy. But that way you have some time maybe before the rest of the house, for example, wakes up and you kind of get your walking in, your sit to stand, or your wall push-ups in without having the distractions of other people or animals, right? I got a dog, I understand. Also, bring your workout clothes with you. If you're going out and running errands, you're like, I've made it my mission, get 150 minutes in of aerobic physical activity in a week. Bring your exercise clothes in a bag with you so you can not go home. Because I myself, if I go home, I'm not going back out. How about that? Okay, I'm going to get cozy and comfortable and I'm not going to go back out to the gym. Okay. Also, there is some research that has been done to show that 10-minute bouts of exercise, 10 minutes is all it takes. Now, I'm not saying just one bout of 10, right? I'm talking about like three bouts, 10 minutes of aerobic activity is shown to have great benefits. So I don't want you to feel like you have to walk for 30 minutes if you can't. That is okay, right? We need to build up that endurance. So maybe doing 10 minutes here, and then you take a little bit of a break and do something fun. If you don't like exercising, you'll consider it to be fun, right? Do something else, then go back to it. Also, if you work, right, you only have a set amount of time. And then by the time you're off work, it's time for dinner. You have to plan all of that. You got to get home, maybe beat some traffic, all of this kind of stuff. Walk during your lunch break. Lastly, past experiences, right? So that New Year's resolution, you didn't quite hit it. That's okay, right? We need to make smart goals and make sure they're manageable and realistic, that they fit your particular lifestyle. No one else is going to, have the same obligation as you do. So make something that can fit within your schedule. Now, I have the ACSM exercise recommendation for healthy adults and older adults, and you're actually going to see that it's not different. So I said earlier, the 150 minutes of aerobic activity. Well, that is the low ball, right? Or up to 300 minutes a week, or 75 minutes of vigorous activity. Strength training, right? So we're wrapping back into our bone health, okay? Strength training 2 or more days a week. Ultimately, or would be fantastic, but making sure we maintain our muscle mass, right? So then we're getting back to making sure we are lowering our risk of falls. And flexibility. You always want to make sure you stretch your muscles, right? You're more than welcome to do it before and after exercise. And then if you're ever feeling really sore or anything the next day, always make sure you stretch and get the blood flowing back to the muscle, kind of wash everything out in there. Okay. So, like I said, I have both of them. This one is for the older adults portion. You will see everything is the same. The only 2 additional one is balance, right? Then we have to be considerate of other chronic conditions. So that is going to be, high blood pressure, osteoporosis. If you've had a cardiac event of any kind, stroke, you name it, gotta consider. Okay. But balance, that can be broken up. It can either be static or dynamic. Static meaning standing still. Dynamic is adding movement to it. So with balance in particular, you always need to make sure that you are near a steady and stable surface. Not a rolling chair that has wheels on it, but maybe like a kitchen table or your kitchen countertop. Okay, if you have an island, you can stand kind of in between both, so you have something to hold on to on both sides. Okay. Now, there are a couple things that you can do for balance. There are different positions in which you can put your feet in to make it a little bit more challenging for you. So the big three things that go into balance, number one is vision, being able to see. A lot of people will, when they're balancing, so let's say we put our feet in tandem, which one foot in front of the other, okay? Weight is equally distributed between both feet. Let's say our feet are in tandem, okay? Vision. If I close my eyes, I might start to sway a little bit. That's where countertops or kitchen table, whatever it may be, they're going to play. Okay. But always make sure whatever you do to one side, you do. Okay. Dynamic would be, using this tandem foot example, is to be walking in tandem, one foot in front of the other. Any questions so far? Now, this is some top 10 benefits of cardiovascular exercise. That is either going to be walking or riding a recumbent bike or an elliptical or a seated step machine, whatever gets your heart rate up, right? There's a benefits for that, okay? It's also going to help you manage diabetes, diabetic. Just need to make sure that if you check your blood sugar, you do it before and after to make sure that one, you're at a good range to exercise. Two, it is not too low, okay? It also promotes brain health, right? The elasticity in our brain, it helps kind of keep that alive and fresh, okay? It boosts energy that you feel after exercise, okay? And it also increases metabolism. Woohoo! Yeah. All right. This one's a little harder to see, and I apologize, but this is the benefits of resistance training. So that is going to be muscular strength endurance. So that is going to be using dumbbells, resistance bands, kettlebells, whatever it may be, weights of any kind. Right back to the osteoporosis. Okay, that also helps with your control diabetes if you are a diabetic. And it helps make sure you can do your activities of daily living as long as you can. Getting in and out of a chair can sometimes struggle for people. A lot of people don't do it correctly. A lot of people use their lower back. You get a lot of low back pain when you're getting in of a chair. Sometimes our knees hurt. Knees are too far over our toes when we're trying to stand up. Our body also not like that, right? Screaming at you. Absolutely. All right. He said, can I describe how the proper way is to stand up? It would be your feet about shoulder width apart, right? I want your toes either facing forward or a little bit out, never in. Our knees like the inward motion. When you do stand up, right? Sometimes people like to bring their hands up with them, but I think it's important to keep looking forward, right? Because wherever your eyes go, your body tends to go. So if you're getting out of a chair and you are hunched over, right, and we're looking down at the ground, our body is more likely to go down the ground. Okay, so we always want to make sure we're looking up. Chest is open, right? We're going to bring our belly in. So I always tell people it's like bring your belly button towards your spine. I always get, well, it's not going any closer to my spine. Anyway, but right, engage your core. I want you to squeeze your glutes. There are 3 different ways to determine how hard you're working. Okay. Rate of perceived exertion. You can see this scale right here. Okay. It's either on a 1 through 10 scale or a 6 through 20. Okay. The 6 through 20, it's the board RPE scale, and board who created it said your resting heart rate back when 60 beats per minute. And the absolute maximal heart rate that you get to is 100, right? 6 through 20. Now, that's not necessarily the case, right? But you would see it either way, either 6 through 20 or 1 to 10. Again, this is perceived, right? So this is your perception of how hard you are working. Another one is heart rate. Now, this one can be a little tricky depending on the medication that you're on. If you're on a beta blocker, it will keep your heart rate low. So This one is not the best fit for everyone. Because if you're on that medication and you try and exercise and you take your heart rate and what's going on? My heart rate's only 80, 90 beats per minute, but I feel like I'm working way harder because of your medication. Okay. Another one is the talk test. Now, what in the world is that? Okay, so I am giving this presentation, right? And everyone has been able to ask questions in full and complete sentences, right? That means I'm not working at a very vigorous level at all, right? Now, if I was to work at a moderate intensity, I would be able to maybe say a sentence. That would be it. I would have to kind of catch my breath there a little bit. If I was working at a vigorous level, I would only be able to say 1 or 2 words. So these other two, right? The folder that you got, my programs are in there. And this is actually, I do more talk tests and RP for my participants to see how hard they're working versus their heart rate. Okay, so this is going back to the SMART goals. Where in the world I start, right? So I need to make sure that they hit you and your lifestyle. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. This is the best way to set those goals. And if we get have little roadblocks in a way, sometimes that's okay. It's okay, you can always connect up where you left off and restart. Now, how active are you now? Do we not do much of anything? Do we only exercise 2 days a week? Whatever that may be for you. Okay, very personal. If you have like a step tracker or anything like that, my watch tracks my steps and flights of stairs and stuff like that. Figure average. How many average, day to day in a week, how many steps are you taking? You can base it off of both of those. Come up with a goal. So let's say you walk on here, it says 5,000 steps a day. About a week, I do about 5,000 steps a day. Okay. Well, what's going to be a good realistic goal for you? Is it to be 8,000 steps a week? 7,000 steps a week? You always want to make sure you add on what you already do, but again, within reason. Now, who and what are the steps that you're going to have to take in order to reach your goal? Are you going to get an accountability buddy? Are you going to, if able, join a fitness facility? Are you able to take that walk during lunch break? All of this kind of stuff plays a factor into it. I have a lot of people who come to see me, who like the fact that I will call them and ask them in the world they were if they did not come that day. Right? I am their accountability buddy, so that I'm going to follow through with it. Well, first, my question is, are you okay? Is everything all right? And if so, where were you? And when do you want to hit your goal by? Timely, you got to give it a date. So let's say I walk 5,000 steps. I want to do 8,000 and I want to hit that by, let's say it's March. I want to hit it by August. By August, I want to be doing 8,000 steps a day. Now, what is that going to look like? That's going to be when you get off work, or is it parking further away at a store or restaurant or wherever it might be to get those extra steps in. Now, we're getting into the sample workouts. Split it up. There are 4 of them. I have an upper body, a lower body, a core, right? Now, core is not just the stomach, it's also your lower back. And I have a total body where it hits everything, okay? Now, repetitions and adding weight to it or anything like that is all going to be up to you. Workout 1 is upper body. Okay, we always want to do a warm up. That's some light stretching. I'm not light stretching. Okay, we're going to go on a walk, stretch your calves, hands, quads. You can all do all that seated. But then the workout. Now, push-ups. That does not necessarily mean on the floor. Okay, be on a wall. kitchen counter, harder than the wall, overhead tricep extension. Now, if you don't have the overhead mobility, that's okay. You can always grab a band, for example, or a weight. So if you have no weights at home, and good. Work the tricep, which is the back of the arm. Single or double arm row. That's going to be up to you. That is going to be working the upper portion of your back, right, to help pull, right, posture, pull your shoulders back, right, pull them back. Because sometimes our chest muscles can get really tight and our back muscles, our upper back muscles, aren't strong enough to pull our shoulders back. Bicep curl, that is the front of the arm. Okay, again, you can use canned goods at home. Not able to join a fitness facility, totally fine. You don't have to. Bicep curl, canned goods, water bottles, gallons, grocery bags, right? And the next one is a bent arm lateral raise. So your arm is bent, lateral is out to the side. Okay, to work those shoulders. And then a nice cool down, right? That can be some stretching, some good breathing, meditation. The second one is lower body. So I have, again, warm up. That can be stretching, right? It can be walking down, where we get into the actual workout portion. Now, squats are sit to stand. If doing a squat, right, is like a sit to stand, but you don't sit down, it goes back on up. Okay. If you are unable to do that, that's totally fine. We'll do sit to stand, right, with those feet shoulder width apart, toes facing forward or out, right. Monster walk. What in the world is that? I would recommend this one to be done absolutely with a chair near you and with like your kitchen counter, table or something. Okay, because what it is adding a resistance band, okay, around leg, walking forward, kind of like you're like a monster. So you're like, wow, yep. Okay, walking back and forth. Lunges. Now I'm not talking all the way knee to the ground lunges. I have forward and lateral here, right? So that is going out in front, right? But again, those knees are going to scream at you if your knee is past your toe. Having something there, you are only going to go as far down as you are comfortable, and you can get your back up. That's important. Lateral is out to the side. Leg extensions, these will be done at first from a seated position. It is just straightening your leg. So right, you're sitting in a chair, straighten your leg, your foot flexed, toe pointing to the sky, right? And you're going to squeeze muscles up top, quads. Next one, calf raises. Do these seated or standing? If you're not good at standing, right? You can seated, just going up on your toes and back down. Now, modification back, going a little bit more challenging. Add some canned goods. Okay? But again, that if balance is an issue, to be near those counters, okay? Up on the toes, back down. Next one, total body. I added some new ones in there. Okay. Now, what in the world is all these bird dog? What is that? Solid squat? I don't know what that is. Okay, so the warm up can be very similar for each of these. Mountain climbers. What in the world is? And again, if you Google them, you will see them done on the floor. You do them on the floor. Okay, you can do them on the wall. You're going to get in a plank position. Wall foot. You're going to okay, plank position. Belly in, you're going to lift one knee up close to the chest at a time. Okay, if it gets too easy on a wall, again, bring it down to a kitchen counter, your island table, so long as it is sturdy and stable. Goblet squat. You can also do this as a sit to stand. Basically, all it is adding a weight or a canned good, keeping it at your chest, stand up, or bringing yourself right back on up. Bird dog. What is that? Not such, does not exist. It does. Now, a couple things here. This can also be done on the wall and a kitchen counter. If you Google it, again, you're going to see it on the floor. And you're more than welcome to do it on the floor if you can. Right? But with this one, you are going to, right? We're back in this position here, right? Belly in. This is where balance, right? And stability and core strength is going to come into play. And coordination. I'm not the most coordinated person, but it was pretty doable. You're going to do opposite. So if you raise your right hand up off of the wall, top, whatever it may be, you are lifting your left leg, bringing it down, switching. Okay. The goal is to not sway from side to side when you're lifting those opposites up. Okay. Force into play. Overhead press. Again, if you don't have the overhead mobility to go up overhead, so do those bent arm lateral raises. Push-ups, again, can be done on the wall, kitchen counter, floor, of course, can, right? And then chest press, that can be done in the seated position. Okay? Or sitting a little closer to the edge of your seat. Keeping your back straight, shoulders back, belly in. You're resting your back on the back of the chair. You have a weight, hand good, whatever it may be, and you're pushing it up and out. Back. Core. Woohoo! Right? Your core and its core, everything you do. Anyway, moving on. A plank. That's going to be getting in that original kind of push, right? Push-up position that we were going to be in for the push-ups. Okay. Staying here. Might be a little easy on the wall, right? You're probably going to feel a little bit more in your arms, right? Because your arms are parallel with the ground, right? So you have gravity working against it as well. It's going to be increasingly more challenging the further parallel your body gets to the floor. Again, Russian twists. What is that? Torso twist. Okay. Now, as long as we don't have any issues with the spine, right? So any fusion, degenerative disc disease, anything like that, we don't want to do any twisting. But you can do it from a chair and just twist side, side. Working those obliques a little bit there. Okay. Side plank. So instead of it being like so on the wall, you're on your side. Okay. You can put your feet together. You can put it one in front of the other. It's going to be up to you. Again, getting more difficult as your body gets more parallel with it. Crunches. Did you know that you can do a sit-up in a chair? You can. So we're kind of going to get back into that chest press position, right? We're sitting a little closer to the edge of our chair. You're going to have that weight good in our hands. Okay. Keep out the chest. Ooh, it's my, sorry. And keep out the chest. Instead of resting your back on the back of the chair, you're just going to bring yourself back on. Set up, go back, back and forth, back and forth. Last one is going to be a bicycle. This is going to be done, excuse me, on your back. So this is going to have to be done. You don't have to do it on the floor. You can do it on your bed, right? And of course, if you go to a fitness facility, you can put on an elevated mat. I know that we have several over yonder. Okay, you're gonna bring your knees at a 90-degree angle, right? And your hands up. You're gonna kind of go back and forth. You're gonna bring it in, opposites again, and back out. Ooh, off and down and out. Okay. Oh, I forgot. Thank you. Thank you. Flare kicks is where you lay on your back. Okay. And you kick. Your legs are up off of the floor. Right, so we're working big time core here. Just like swimming, but on the ground. Yeah. Just like it. That's a doozy. That was a doozy. Yeah. Oh Lord. He asked how many like repetitions of each of these. Normally I like to start with 2 sets of 10. However, what a good gauge is going to be, and we always want to do 2 sets, we just want to do 1, more than welcome to do more than 2 sets. But the last 4 of your repetitions in that second set should not be easy, piece of cake, but it should not be so challenging that you can't do them. I don't want you to go till failure where you can't and feel like you can't do them anymore. I just want them to be a little bit challenging. So breathing, right? So let's say, well, you need to breathe, right? And especially doing these core exercises, sometimes if it's a little bit more challenging for you, you forget to breathe. So please do that. But if we're going to do this sit to stand for an example, okay, you want to breathe in when you're sitting, breathe out. Up, in, breathe out. Does that help? Other? Yes. Yes. So I'm going to repeat your question so that people online, oh, what in the world I'm talking about. So I provided folders here that have some handouts for some of the programs that we have over at the Wellness and Fitness Center. Asking particularly about the RISE program, the supervised exercise program. We meet twice a week for 8 weeks, get a total of 16 sessions. Each session is 1 hour. Sure. So she asked what the difference between my credentials are and what the credentials would be for a physical therapist. So a physical therapist has gone through a doctorate program. They are all doctors, not all of them, some of them later on or a while ago, there was a master's program, but now it's a doctorate program. So they went through, depending on the program, but on average, it's about 3 years of PT school, physical therapy school. I did not do that. Yep. I just have my bachelor's in kinesiology, which is basically the study of the movement of the human body, right? And then I have a certification through ACE, which is the American Council on Exercise. It's a certified medical exercise specialist. Anything? Other questions? Well, that is all I have for you. I am going to be here for just a few more moments, right? My contact information is up on the screen. Right, if you call, just ask for me, ask for Hannah, but my email is up there as well.